This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
The professor had his dreary voice on this morning. The class was rescheduled an hour earlier to cater to some TikToker's on-campus debut. I personally think that's a ridiculous explanation. Locke's entire thesis was this semblance of natural rights, natural justice, he went on. Life, liberty, and property. Before we break today, I just want to focus on the first point, if we will. I had my closed fist pressed against my cheek as I slouched over my desk in the auditorium. It was far too early for such philosophy. I do blame myself. There were far more interesting majors I could have chosen. Life, as a natural right. What does that mean? The professor said as he looked up in the bleachers and, much to my annoyance, locked eyes on me. Yes? I rolled my eyes in a subtle fashion, hoping he didn't pick it up as an insult. Well, I began. I think I remembered John Locke from high school. Life as a concept of natural justice? That's right. That's like, the right to live, right? I said. There were audible snickers throughout. Don't laugh. He's right. I would have elaborated a smidge, but by and large, he has hit the nail on the head. What's your name, sir? He asked me. Timothy, I lied. Thank you, Timothy. The right to life. But not in an ethical debate that some may associate that sentence in a separate political discussion. Locke's thesis was rather a right to exist, to be alive and to preserve one's physical form and not have that physical form interfered with against one's will. By extension, under Locke, that would mean that everyone in this room would have a natural right by birth to not be assaulted, murdered, or manipulated in any way, he explained. The bell rang with a mighty chime. And that ends the lesson, the professor said. We all stood. Don't forget, I will be hosting a web session tomorrow night on the Prism Index of 20th Century Philosophy. It is not mandatory, but I will say it will help you in your upcoming assessments. Do not hesitate to tell me if you're going to be late. We exited the auditorium and headed out onto the campus, where we were surrounded by a cavalcade of students congregating for the arrival of our special guest. Have you completed the Locke assignment? Jesse said, spotting me from behind as I made my way into the daylight. Hell no, I said. ChatGPT can do that for me tonight, I explained. He gave me the eye. I was joking and needed to spell this out in detail to him. It's a joke, Jesse. How many times do I have to say that to you before you understand I am joking? We roomed together. We were both from the East Coast and had struggled to mix with other students. We felt comfortable with one another. What he needed to work on was his sense of humor. You can read my notes tonight, he offered. I had a head start on the weekend, and I want to run them past someone. Don't you ever take a break? I wondered. No, he said with just the right amount of smug that stopped me short of slapping him in the face. Besides, you shouldn't use violence. It's against Locke's law of nature, he said. He could read my mind, I thought. He could tell his demeanor made me want to inflict physical violence. I didn't really. It was a running joke between us. How did you know I wanted to hit you? I asked with a laugh. I can just tell, the look in your eye. Remember Locke's law. The right to life and the preservation of life, it's a tough one for me, I said flippantly. Not for me. I find it to be dogma, he said. Why's that? Aren't you a Christian? I asked. Yeah, what's that got to do with anything? Don't you believe in the death penalty? Eye for an eye and all that? I wondered. The death penalty is a policy of the state and has nothing to do with my religious code, he explained. We made it to the campus amphitheater. The crowds had amassed and compressed. Off in the distance was a multicolored tent showered in red, white, and blue insignia. But you do believe in the death penalty? I asked, pushing his buttons. I do, where necessary. But you also mentioned that Locke's law is dogma, I said. Where necessary, he elaborated. So what you're saying is, everyone has a right to life and the preservation of their lives, unless you think otherwise in certain circumstances. He slapped me on the back and nodded with his now well-known cheeky grin. We were never going to get to the bottom of our conflicting beliefs, but it was fun to debate them the way we did. I knew from his demeanor he wanted to hear from the on-campus guest, and the time for his arrival was approaching. My interruptions on philosophy were not welcome, but I wanted to end on one note. You know, Jesse, I am a pacifist, I explained. Okay, that's good to know, he said. looking dead on. So I believe in Locke's first law too, I said. Everyone deserves to live and have their life preserved to the best of their ability, modern science, and their healthy prowess, I said. He looked at me and nodded. That's nice. Now shut up and let me listen to Charlie Kirk, he said as he started to clap. I looked around. The masses had all begun to clap. I checked my watch. My next class was in 15 minutes. It seemed harmless to burn 10 of those here, listening to whatever this was about to be. The giveaway hats were flung from the stage, and I could see a few students around me snag a couple. The logos, emblazoned on the front, stitching read, "Make America Great Again." This was not my scene. I turned to leave when an arm was placed on my shoulder. "Leaving so soon?" Jesse asked. I smiled. "Hey, right to life and the preservation of it. That includes how I spend my time," I said. "Indeed it does," he smiled. He let go and turned back to the stage. I walked out into the crowd, eager to get to the coffee lounge before my favorite chair was taken. Perhaps this crowd would keep the masses away, and I could enjoy some rare peace.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.